Okay, so when we had Del Bigtree here last time, I felt like I was extremely lucky. But I need to tell you that when Twila confirmed today to speak for us today, I was equally excited. This lady has been fighting this battle for us for decades, since some of you were in diapers. I'm not even kidding. She is the president and co-founder of Citizens Council for Health Freedom and the author of the award-winning, 8-time award-winning book, Big Brother in the Exam Room, The Dangerous Truth About Electronic Health Records. She's also a part of the Don't Be Bullied billboard campaign. She's doing so much for us, and she has a wealth of knowledge to share with us today. So please pay very close attention to what she has to say. Twila Brase, everybody.
Okay, thank you so much for coming, and are we not blessed with a sunny, beautiful day for this? It could have been raining, and it's not. All right. Well, thank you, Mark, for inviting me. Thank you for every freedom-loving face that I'm looking at this very moment, and every freedom-loving face to come. And I want to just start by saying this is a dangerous time for America. But this is also an exciting time to be an American. We are all called to fight what is probably going to be the biggest fight that we will ever experience in our lifetime. And hopefully it will be a short fight, not a long fight. But we are all called to fight. So we have the privilege to work now to protect America from enemies, foreign and domestic. And there are plenty of domestic enemies, as we have all discovered. We have the sacred honor to fight to save America from government tyrants, opportunists, profiteers, and those Americans who don't understand what's happening and they just want to get back to normal. But I can assure you that unless we stop this, there is no normal. We will not get to normal. So it is time for solidarity among we the people. And I don't care what political party that you vote for. If you want freedom in America, if you want America itself to be America when COVID has disappeared, you must stand together now with everyone who is opposed to the vaccination mandate. So the vaxxed and the unvaxxed must stand together for freedom. We must stand together against a tyrannical government, anyone in the media who seems to be Marxist, and complicit employers and industry. We must stand in solidarity as long as it takes to stop the public health tyrants and those who want to put us in vaccine passport shackles, those who want to vaccinate us every year for as long as they say we must be vaccinated. So it's time to say no. The most powerful word in the English language is no. So we must say it loudly, dogmatically, persistently, and unapologetically. So say it with me, please. No. No, no, no. So just because you got the vaccine, some of you might be out here going, maybe I don't want it, or maybe I do want it, but I don't want to force everybody else to have it. Just because you got the vaccine doesn't mean you can't stand up against the mandate. Indeed, you must refuse to join the bureaucratic blog. The bureaucratic blog that's calling for the end of freedom in America. Vaccination is a choice. It must always be a choice. So we must have the freedom to choose, and the freedom to choose is liberty. The freedom to choose is enshrined in America. It's enshrined in the Declaration of Independence, and we must not let it go. So Patrick Henry yelled. Anyone remember what he yelled? Right. Give me liberty or give me death. He understood how important liberty is to life. And that other people would make decisions about life if you don't have liberty. So do not let the fear-mongering of the government drive you to give up your freedom or to demand others to give up theirs. That includes saying no to the government mask. The American Revolution was a hard-fought battle, a bloody battle, but we the people won. So don't give it up. Don't sacrifice the Declaration of Independence for a highly treatable virus called COVID. It will not be the last virus. It will not be the last mandate, but it will be the last day you see freedom if you don't stand up now. So it's just so exciting to see all of you standing up now. And thank you for that. So I'm heartened by everyone who's taken a painful, sacrificial stand for freedom. As a reminder, freedom has always required sacrifice. Hopefully this will not be a bloody battle. Hopefully these will be just short-term sacrifices, but without them there is no freedom. So stand in solidarity with every sports figure, police officer, nurse, doctor, pilot, mother, father, sheriff, government worker, bureaucrats even, who stand up and say no. So the government, the healthcare industry, pharmaceutical companies, complicit employers, and proponents of the Great Reset are standing in solidarity against you. But you're bigger. We're bigger. We are much bigger. And together we are huge. We should and must and can win this battle. So government officials have become experts in COVID misinformation and disinformation. And there's a lot of what I call fakery going on. We have fake news, fake studies, fake proclamations, fake vaccines, fake experts, fake numbers, fake executive orders, fake regulations, and fake authority. For example, Biden doesn't have any authority in the Constitution to mandate vaccinations. But there is something real, and that's a real threat to your freedom and the real dangers with the virus and the vaccines. So I will be passing out, once I get off here, I will be passing out a handout for you to use and for your legal protection, to find out the real risks that are happening. We have a whole billboard campaign. Realrisks.org is part of that. And early treatment options, which are so key. So make sure you get a handout, or if your neighbor doesn't have one, let them take a picture. But let me just say 10 things I want you to know about the vaccine. Number one, it's not a vaccine. It's a genetic-based experimental therapeutic. It's a drug. And FDA approval will not make it a vaccine. It doesn't prevent COVID. It was never meant to prevent COVID. Fauci knows it doesn't prevent COVID. Fauci knows it's not a vaccine. So according to Fauci, it was only meant to prevent symptoms. Clinically apparent disease were his words. That's why people who got the vaccine are getting COVID, and some of them are dying. There's no such thing as a breakthrough infection, so don't let anybody tell you or use that word with you, because that would be if they expected you not to get an infection. But it doesn't stop anyone from getting an infection. It wasn't created to do that. So, okay, number two, FDA approval will not make it safe. These shots have never had the time or the studies to verify or validate that they are safe. There were no tests on pregnant women, children, or fetuses. The second phase of clinical trials is usually 15 months. And then the third phase begins. And then there's evaluations, right? But it's only been 19 months since the declaration of an emergency and the lockdowns began. Number 3, despite the reports of injuries and deaths after the injection, and despite the FDA being the only agency authorized to determine safety, the CDC has claimed that the issues are safe and effective. And they've done that months and months and months before the FDA ever made a determination. So, was that legal? How many lives have been negatively impacted by that misleading claim? Number 4, the so-called approval letter of the Pfizer shot, called Comirnaty, includes 13 required studies with reports back to the FDA between the years of 2022 and 2027, 6 years after the injections began, including 1 on pregnancy and 6 on heart inflammation, or myocarditis and pericarditis. So even the approval letter shows that there are safety concerns. And what is the definition of safe? And do you have to agree with it? You have a choice no matter what the FDA says. Now, number 5, the CDC says there have been 8,878 deaths reported after the injection. Open VAERS, for Vaccine Adverse Events Reporting System, VAERS. Open VAERS is a private initiative that scrapes out all the data from the VAERS system before the CDC manipulates it. And they say that the deaths are much higher that are reported after vaccination at 17,128, nearly twice as high as the CDC's claims. But there have also been a reported 2,631 miscarriages. These are deaths too. So altogether, that would be nearly 20,000 reported deaths after vaccination. There have also been more than 8,000 heart attacks, more than 10,000 cases of heart inflammation, which is not a small thing because it can create heart damage that will last a lifetime. And it's usually in young men. And there have been more than 26,000 cases of permanent disability reported. Number 6, the so-called vaccine may not work because it is narrowly targeted to the spike. As you know, the virus is a ball with a bunch of spikes, right? And so it was narrowly targeted to the spikes, not the entire virus. So there's nothing in the vaccine directed at the ball of the virus. And perhaps that's why there's these so-called breakthrough infections, why they never expected it not to stop infections. And so now boosters are being offered and may soon be required, or you'll lose your freedom every time. Number 7, the COVID injection forces your body to become a COVID-19 spike-producing machine. Dr. Charles Hoff in Canada said the injection puts billions of messenger RNA into your arms, which cause your body to create millions of COVID spike protein. Well, that's a big problem because the spike protein is dangerous. That's the dangerous part, and it causes a dangerous response in your body. Inflammation and clotting. Now, Dr. DeMello, a physician in India who used to live in St. Louis Park, said that COVID is an inflammatory and clotting disease, and if he can get the clotting under control, everything else is easy. But it's the spike protein that does the clotting. Okay, so number 8, the COVID injection does not stay in your deltoid muscle. A vaccinologist, also in Canada, at a press conference of a member of the parliamentary there, said that only 25% stays in your muscle, 75% circulates. That's unlike any other vaccine that you have received. And one study shows that it can be found intact up to 15 days later. Those researchers who studied 13 individuals at a hospital in Boston said they didn't know the clinical relevance of that finding of circulating spike protein and that it deserves more study. Number 9, the Chronic COVID Treatment Center. So, before I say anything more, how many of you have COVID symptoms, like you just can't get better after you've had COVID, or that you know somebody who can't get better, or you've heard about somebody who couldn't get better? Because you all should be listening up. Because the Chronic COVID Treatment Center has the largest number of patients in the country who survived COVID, but they just can't get better. But they're also treating people who have received the vaccine who never had COVID. And the founder of it said it's all because of the spike protein, which, as I've explained, the so-called vaccine is causing your body to generate. Okay, so anyone who's not better needs to get it treated as soon as possible, preferably within the first 3 months. But there's been treatment for up to 8 months or even a year. But you have to actually go and get it treated because there's probably little clots in your lungs. And that's what Dr. DeMello says. That's what the COVID treatment Chronic COVID Treatment Center says. So take this as just advice to help you, your neighbors, and anyone you know to actually get better after you've had COVID or after you've had the injection. And then number 10, children will have little to no benefit from the injection, but they face dangers that are bigger than the disease itself, because most of them may not even know that they get COVID. It just doesn't affect children much. Dr. Scott Atlas says it's unconscionable to use children as a shield to protect adults and to put them in danger doing so. So COVID has been used as an excuse to end government of, for, and by the people. Vaccine mandates are unconscionable, heinous, unconstitutional, unethical, immoral, and dangerous. But worst of all, there are treatments for COVID. Easy, early, effective, and cheap treatments. And they've essentially been banned, forcing Americans to find cure, care, and treatment wherever and however they can, including in the farm supply store. There should be doctors treating patients with COVID the way patients need to be treated for COVID. This is basic science, this is basic medicine, and anything less than that is just plain wrong. So, but until that day when we actually get things back to perhaps a day of reckoning for what's going on here, let us thank the many heroes among us, the warriors. They're the ones who've gone above and beyond their job. They've lost their job. They've lost friends. They've lost income. They've sacrificed freedom. They're looking for a new job. They're the spirit of America, and you are the spirit of America today. The spirit's breaking out everywhere, and it's a beautiful thing. Southwest Airlines, General Electric union workers, nurses and doctors saying, I'm leaving. Police officers signing off for the last time. None of this should happen, but it's all essential for freedom. So support every one of them. Hail every one of them as the hero that they are, because maybe you won't have to sacrifice, and they will have done it for you. This is a precious